Good afternoon, and welcome to another asinine version of Diatribes from the voice of doom. Now here's your acerbic and ass-backward host, voice of doom. Hello. Okay, I'm going to do a quickie. I will say that on my last episode, I touted a special edition, which was going to tie everything together into one big, neat package to explain everything about how life works and what's going on. But I don't want to half-ass it like I've been doing for the last 300 or so videos. I'm not going to ad-lib as much or improvise. I'm going to plan. So I'm going to set my sights on the second anniversary of Diatribes, which will be somewhere in July, which gives me a few months to plan. And I might do it sooner, but I don't want to just do like I do all my diatribes, just think about what I want to say and then spew it out and hope it all comes out. So I will continue to tout that, but in the meantime I will continue talking about current events and my microcosm. Alright, microcosm. My son is slipping into the depths of depravity and misery and despair. He drinks too much. He cannot get much work due to the drinking, and his health is deteriorating. And I've tried everything, and I've threatened him, and I really should throw him out, but I just don't see how that'll be conducive to him getting better. Eventually, of course, he might, but I just don't want to throw him out to the cold, even though it's not as cold anymore. So, since I've exhausted all my efforts, I have been praying for a miracle, because that's all that's left. Now, I've talked about religion before, and I've talked about being a Buddhist. And I was thinking, if I was going to my mentor back in the early days of my practice and telling him about my problems, thinking that I would get pity, thinking that I would get some commiseration and advice on what to do about my son, I know what he would do. He would turn it right around on me. He would say, you made your life, and everything around you is due to your own bad karma and your own negligence. That's what he'd do. You want pity, you're not going to get it in a Buddhist meeting. It's not going to happen. You're going to get reprimanded. My son is this way and I can't do anything about it, and boo-hoo, and he's such a horrible person and he's making my life miserable. No, you're making your own life miserable. And this is just an effect of your own stupidity. So with that in mind, I pray for a miracle. Now, I've talked about relying on Jesus and the fact that I am absolved from my sins and will reach the right hand of God because I believe in Jesus. And I've told you that perhaps that may not be a complete explanation. Now, if you're a Buddhist, they will say pray to the Gohonzon. What is a Gohonzon? It is a scroll with symbols on it, Japanese, Chinese symbols, some amalgam. And you pray to it, but are you praying to it? Are you asking a piece of paper to help you with your problems? No, you're not. The Gohonzon is a symbol of your own life. It's not to be saying that you're praying to yourself, but in a way you are. The Gohonzon could be considered a mirror. So I'm asking the Gohonzon for help by trying to have a fastidious practice every day, and keep in mind the mystic law at all times, because if you do that, you're going to be more alert to things that happen. The universe will come into rhythm with you, you see. And the ironic part, the dichotomous part of Buddhism is that there are negative and positive forces in the universe. And you're trying to stimulate the positive and have the negative go away. But the problem is the more you practice, the more the negative forces want to stop you. They do not want you to practice, and they certainly don't want you to spread the word. And the way to spread the word in Buddhism is not to preach. It is through your own life. So you show actual proof in your own life. Others look at you and say, that person just never seems to be unhappy no matter what bad things happen to him. How does he do that? Then they find out. Now, I was thinking we were turning a corner with Max, because I knew that he wasn't going to be able to find a regular job because nobody was hiring him, even at the most lowly of jobs, because of his life condition. So I asked my manager at the restaurant if she could possibly slip him in for a shift or two a week. And she said she'd try to. And I said, what about Easter? Because we had to work a double. And she said, yeah, he can come in the morning and work for 6 hours or 5 hours. So I'm like, okay, that's a start. I was very happy. Well, those hopes and happiness was dashed a couple days later when she said, no, they don't need anybody right now, according to the powers above her, and that to have him in for one day would just be, just a bureaucratic snafulery. So my hopes were dashed, and I went from being hopeful to being kind of disappointed again, and I realized I cannot let that deter me. I'm still hoping for a miracle. Now, what happened today? What happened yesterday? Went to the casino, and the bartender comes up to me and goes, I need you to keep an eye on Max because we made a deal, him and some other people that he knows that if he could go 2 weeks without drinking, that they'd give him $50. And if he could go all the way to Mother's Day, they would give him $200. But he said, we need you to keep an eye on him and tell the truth about what's happening. So I said, okay, and I thanked him profusely. Because I could do the same thing and say, I'll give you $50, but it's easier to deceive your parent because you really don't care. You know that it's unconditional love. So I was very happy that outsiders were coming. They're called Shoten Zenshin. Good forces, good friends, good influences that come from outside to aid you. And when Max came in my bedroom, I was waiting for him to try to get $5 from me. He said, I need a black shirt. I got a job today doing such and such at an old folks home. And I said, have you been drinking? And he goes, no. And I go, good, because I'm supposed to keep an eye on you. I heard about this bet. And he goes, yes, I'm going to get that money. So you see. And the other day, I was playing the piano at work, and a lady came up to me and said, I got a piano in storage and I want to just give it away. Do you want it? And I said, well, I have 2 pianos at home, but I'll ask my boss, thinking he would say no, because he doesn't really want a piano in there, because that means that as soon as he fires me, he'll have to get rid of the piano and it'll be a big pain. And to my surprise, he said yes, which means we will have an acoustic piano, hopefully, if it's proper size and tune, which means I can be 10 times better than I was and really wow the crowd. They're going to be amazed. So you see how things are turning around. Now, I said so much about my microcosm that I didn't get into the macrocosm. I'll do this real quick. I boycotted orange juice once because I hated Rush Limbaugh so bad. That was when I was younger. Love Rush now. I miss him. I boycotted going to the theater because I was sick and tired of Hollywood, just in general. I don't want to go into the myriad of reasons. There was a bunch. I haven't been to the movie theater since 1999. No? Yeah, around there, 2000. Okay. They are personal boycotts. They are my own personal political statements, thinking if I am an average person, then if I dispense with a certain thing, then everybody else will follow suit. Didn't happen. They make more movies than ever. And orange juice, thankfully, is still plentiful. And I do drink orange juice now, by the way. But boycotts are a personal thing, and to try to gain momentum on a boycott can cause nothing but trouble. Now, what does that have to do with Dylan Mulvaney? Well, I'll tell you. I went to work yesterday, and I said, we're out of Stella Artois, so we need to get some more. The manager said, we're not buying it anymore because it's made from Anheuser-Busch, and we're no longer buying Bud or Bud Light. And I thought to myself, that is really stupid, because it's just contributing to the hatred. And when other servers, underage servers, asked, the manager explained it to them. And I'm thinking, you're not going to go up to tables and explain why we don't have Bud Light, even if these people are conservative, because it just opens up a can of worms. So after she was done explaining it, I just said, we sell so little Bud and Bud Light that we'll have what we have in the refrigerator for probably a few months, so don't worry about explaining why we don't have it. And another thing about boycotting is a boycott is very ineffectual if it's something that you don't really care about anyway. I don't like NATO, so I'm going to boycott Brussels sprouts. Very easy for me. I can't stand Brussels sprouts. I wouldn't buy them if NATO was the Immaculate Conception. So to boycott Bud Light, to me, is a total waste of time. I would never drink it. Never. I mean, even if there was no alcohol left on the planet, I wouldn't drink Bud Light. And Bud, I would not drink either. Can't stand either beer. Stella, that's a different matter. It's a better beer, even though it's made in America, and every time they usurp a beer from Europe, it's never as good. So look at Lonebrow. Lonebrow Zurich was a really good beer, but you start making it in Milwaukee and it just doesn't taste the same. So I say boycott hatred. Just don't have anything to do with hatred and leave it alone. And perhaps we might make some inroads in the self-destruction of our planet. But I just can't see anything good coming of people getting on their high horse and throwing out the Bud Light And then I'm thinking, well, no, I can see another point to it. And the point is that people have reached the end. You can talk about non-binary and all this and that on TikTok. And people even put up with teenagers walking around with makeup and a full beard and, nylons and a skirt. I mean, even in Carson City, they will put up with it. But you touch our beer and you get into our Bud Light, and now we got to throw down the gauntlet. That's where we draw the line. So, in a way, I think I can see the point of boycotting Anheuser-Busch because they're showing disdain for their base, for their clientele. They're saying, we don't understand you, we don't know who you are, you buy our beer anyway and always will, so we will take you for granted and we will try to ingratiate ourselves to this other segment of society that don't drink Bud Light. So we see what happened. You can all put that together because I don't have much time left. And in conclusion, I think Dylan Mulvaney is an actor, and I think that she or he or they know what March Madness is. You live under a rock or something, but you pretend, and they are a caricature of what they think a woman is. Someone who's ditzy, who dances around and is afraid of bugs and doesn't know what March Madness is and has never had a Bud Light, but my picture's on it, Well, I think it's all just a social construct that this genius, obviously, parlayed this shtick about days of girlhood into a multi-million-dollar industry and got the whole world up in an uproar. So I gotta tip my hat. Don't agree, maybe, I don't know. I don't have any dog in that fight. But I gotta tip my hat to Dylan because genius. Make fun of women, be a caricature, be an actor, and make all this money. Wish I'd thought of it. But I'll leave it there. I think this was a halfway decent one, and I'm going to post it without listening to it, which is very daring, but most of the ones I do post anyway, no matter how they are. Because I got to get going. I got things to do. So enjoy the day, and I hope you enjoyed my little philosophical expostulation. Oh, and by the way, it was a sunny day on Easter. It's always sunny on Easter. That goes to show you when the people's minds are pure, the land is pure. Because everybody's nice to each other on Easter. So that means that it was a sunny day because the earth is saying yes. The Shoten-Zenshin, the natural forces, like it when people are nice to each other. It's very simple. Get more into that later. I gotta go. Enjoy the day. Bye.